be glorified in his life. In Jesus' name, let's receive our president, the President of the United States, President Joseph Biden.
Yeah, I think they forgot to turn the mics on here. There you go. Yes, you can hear my voice. I think. Let's let him start talking. I got to tinker with some things in the backdrop here.
Bishop Morris, thanks for keeping me in my seat. And I want to thank you for,
unfinished
I said,
sentence.
Bishop, it's good to be home. And please sit down.
Hold on. What am I watching here?
I got my start in public life, never intending to run for office
50 years ago.
as a public defender in the civil rights movement. And I was no great shakes, but I worked hard in Delaware. I used to go to 7:30 Mass at my church, and then I would show up at Reverend Beeman's, now Bishop Beeman, church, AME
Abe
church
Simpson telling us the story about the onions around his belt.
That's what we're going to do to change the situation.
I'm not playing the whole thing,
it really
people. Hold
is
on.
good to be home. Bishop Felton, thank you for that introduction and moving
understand that part.
sermon. Thank you, this incredible congregation, for welcoming me as you have. It really means a bit.
It really does. It really does. I'm not playing this whole thing. I just have to tinker with some stuff in the backdrop.
Across the way in Delaware, I attended morning mass in my church and head to Sunday services at black churches, as I said early on.
Yeah, in case you missed
I've always felt the power of your faith.
Your faith.
In good times and in tough times. The fact is, the scripture says, all things work together for good to those who love God.
Oh, yes. All right.
And are called according to his purpose. Our purpose is to serve others. That's our purpose. To know everyone is entitled to be treated with dignity and respect.
I mean, this really gives off
works is dead.
This really gives off some Fannie Willis preaching to the church vibe. Methinks the man doth protesteth too much. Good morning, everybody. It is still morning, at least where I am. Good afternoon or evening. England. Oh, is this the lighting is okay? The framing is good. Let me make sure I'm on the right. Oh, I just disabled the mic. All right, good. And we're on the right thing here. I wanted to play with that. I had to, if you haven't watched the full speech, go watch it. I'm going to watch it. It was the other day. But the absolute classic part of that speech before a church, I'm going to just cut this and send it to myself. That wasn't the highlight of the speech. I'm going to show you something where, oh my goodness. If it's not apparent to everybody, I mean, we're seeing the meltdown anyhow, and I'm sticking to my prediction. Joe Biden will not be the presidential nominee for the Democrats. The only question is, who's it going to be? But we're watching this monumental meltdown in real time. Damage control like it's nobody's business. We're going to get into the Karine Jean-Pierre vomit-inducing press conference from yesterday. It was like an hour, and she refuses to answer the most obvious question. Who was the Parkinson's doctor visiting the White House to see? I'm not going into private, blah, blah, blah. But you got to see this. You got to see this. Defiant L posted this clip, so it saves me the trouble of having to find it. Look at this man while they're singing Amazing Grace. Now, I happen to think Amazing Grace is one of the most beautiful songs, hymns on earth. I'm not sure I'm a fan of this particular rendition. And I might not ever be able to see or hear that song without visualizing this absolutely demented act here. Listen to this. Look at his eyes. No blinking. Ferrell or something. This is a Will Ferrell skit. Not blinking. Who's he looking at? Hasn't blinked yet. Totally stiff. Guy next to him is at least rocking with the beat. He hasn't blinked yet. Do I stand yet? Not yet. It's actually impossible to decide what's going on in that video. That just turn the volume down a little bit. Look at how he points to himself. At least he's right about the wretch. I mean, I can't even not blink for that long without it causing me great discomfort to my eyeballs. All right. I don't wanna shut down the whole stream. Let me just minimize this. Amazing Grace is the most beautiful song ever, and I think Joe might have actually managed to ruin it with that visual. That's saved and so organic, saved a wretch like me. So introspective, so paying attention to human foibles and the human condition and it being what it is. We can't see the video. Oh, I'm an idiot. Son of a bee sting. Hold on, let me bring it up. I gotta. Well, that must have looked real crazy. Like, how do I create a new window here? We're gonna go with this. Good, divide. Oh, I'm such a moron. Here, hold on. So now I go like this. Forgive me. I've only been doing this for 7 years. Okay, we can see the video now, correct? Yes, I can see the video. We can all see the video. Let me get the audio because we need to hear this. Oh, I just ruined it. Okay, maximize and play. Okay, here we go.
That saved a wretch like me.
Like, is someone in the audience giving him cues what to do? Hasn't blinked. Admittedly, it's uncomfortable to be on stage for an hour, especially during religious services where people tend to fall asleep.
Oh, at the cross, where I first saw the light.
Like, how do you describe that? Is he freezing up like Mitch McConnell? Did he just remember where he was? Now I get to move my hands. Is that keeping rhythm or is that a shake? It's the wretch. It's the wretch part. Can I zoom in? Can't. Look at this. Relate to the crowd. Relate to the crowd. Me. Okay. So now I can close that and then we come back to the thing. Okay. Sorry about that. My mistake. So we got that. It was a glitch, says the Care of Bear. Good morning, everybody. Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator, current Florida Rumbler. Although I am back behind the Iron Rainbow, hiding out in the Maple Gulag, getting ready to go do a Rebel News conference presentation on journalism, meet some aspiring journalist students, then off to the Republican National Convention, where hopefully we're going to find out who that flipping VP pick for Donald Trump is going to be. I've still, holding strong, got my bet on J.D. Vance, who's almost doubled in average. Oh, no, more than doubled since when I got him. And I'm still following the betting markets on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because I'm sticking to it. Joe Biden hit a number that I think he's going to come down from, and I don't think Joe Biden's going to be the nominee. The only question is how and when it happens and who replaces him. We'll see about that. But if you haven't been paying attention and you haven't been noticing that it's full meltdown, full panic meltdown of the Democrats. It's full damage control of the Democrats, of Karine Jean-Pierre, she is so insufferable to watch. I thought Jen Psaki was annoying. One thing is for certain, in retrospect, Sean Spicer and Kaylee, I forget her name, McKinnon, they were the best press secretaries ever. Sarah Huckabee Sanders was also amazing. Jen Psaki, at least, was good at what she did. She was a very convincing liar. You looked in her eyes, you sort of felt like she was staring into your soul. telling you everything you needed to hear, reassuring you that everything is okay and will be okay. And then you get some of the nicknames for Karine Jean-Pierre. I won't repeat, but then you get someone whose qualifications consist of gender orientation, sexual proclivities, and skin color. Those were her credentials on day one when she proudly announced that I think they hired the first immigrant. I don't know if she's like a second generation Black lesbian, and I don't know, maybe she threw in some other stuff in there that I forgot. That was her claim to fame. She is the worst press secretary on earth. She's got these body language, demeanor, sort of like things that she does, quirks that are so freaking annoying. Let me just make sure we're looking at the same screen before I start playing it. And she's a liar, but she's a bad liar. And she's patronizing, condescending, and wholly unconvincing. And but for her sexual orientation, racial qualifications, she deserves all of the ridicule that she can possibly get. But now you understand the sort of preemptive using racial identity politics, sexual orientation as a shield and a sword, or at the very least as a shield in an aggressive manner and a defensive manner. You can't criticize her. You can't call her DEI Barbie, because that would be racist. Apparently, identifying DEI hires, when you do it critically, as in to criticize them, is racist. But when you hire them as DEI hires, we need a Black woman on the Supreme Court, I'm a Black lesbian press secretary, then it's good. Then you can rely on the DEI elements because you're using them as a positive, not as a negative. This was a full 2 minutes of verbal diarrhea. Let me just see why I wanted to pull this one up here.
I want to share highlights from the president's from the president's recent schedule, as well as looking ahead to the next 2 weeks.
2 weeks. She wants to do the highlights. You know what I would love to hear? I would love to see Joe Biden come up and himself take the podium and tell us what he's been doing for the last 10 days. I would love to hear it directly from the demented, senile horse's mouth. But no, you get Karine Jean-Pierre. I'll pronounce it with my French accent. Le Karine Jean-Pierre, elle va venir vous le dire. Qu'est-ce qu'il fait le président? Listen to this.
So over the last 10 days, President Biden has been hitting the road and meeting directly with the American people, as well as continuing his job as leader of the country.
Continuing to do his job as leader of the country. Rest assured, people, she's telling you.
2 days after the debate, he met with supporters in Atlanta, Raleigh, New York, and New Jersey.
Atlanta, Raleigh, New York, and New Jersey. He met with leaders in 4 states in 1 day. Oh, yeah, he's just shipping around. You know who else did a lot in a day? Bernie. And not Bernie Sanders, Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. Man, they hauled his corpse everywhere. He went to the beach. He went roller coaster riding. He went to a restaurant. I don't know if he did that. I haven't seen that movie in about 35 years, but you get what I'm getting at.
Last week, he delivered remarks on the Supreme Court, visited the D.C. Emergency Operations Center for...
He delivered remarks on the Supreme Court. Can we hear those remarks? I mean, he spoke last week. Crown him president.
For a briefing on extreme weather events,
She's getting ready to do the
Medal
shoulder
of
thing.
Honor ceremony, and joined the First Lady for a 4th of July barbecue with active duty military service members and their families. Throughout the week, the president also spoke with leaders of the UK, United Kingdom, Israel, and the Republic of South Africa. On Friday, the president traveled to Madison, Wisconsin for a campaign rally. On Sunday, just yesterday, he held numerous events across Pennsylvania with elected officials, including Governor Shapiro, Senator Fetterman, and Congresswoman Madeleine Dean. He participated in...
Okay, I don't care to hear any more of this. That wasn't the one I wanted to bring up. It's amazing. They could just drag him anywhere in the back of a limo, and it's an accomplishment. Where is the one that I wanted to bring up? Did I bring it up? Karine Jean-Pierre. Here we go. This is the one I wanted to show you. So they give a press conference yesterday, and people in the press gallery are rightly asking a lot of questions on the breaking news that apparently a Parkinson's specialist had visited the White House 3 times in the last year. Joe Biden refuses to submit to a cognitive exam because he submitted to a physical and passed it with flying colors, as if, trying to think of the guy from the movie Top Secret, who was clearly mentally, informationally deficient. The guy who, learned everything he needed to know from reading the Washington or the New York Post. I mean, he'd pass a physical, but he wouldn't pass a cognitive or mental. And so they're asking. And what do you do when people press you on something that you don't want to answer? You feign victimhood and you try to shame and browbeat people into not asking the questions by shifting the onus on them. I'm going to remember what the acronym is for narcissistic behavior, but hold on here. Listen to this.
With the president, would you counsel him to do that just to sort of put an end to these questions?
I hear you.
I hear you.
The neurologist has said it is not warranted. The president himself, he said it today. He said it multiple times. And the doctor.
You know what the best thing to determine whether or not someone needs to submit to a cognitive exam? Ask the person themselves. Ask the person who's schizophrenic if they need to go see a doctor. Ask them if they are detached from reality.
Has said this. Everything that he does day in and day out as it relates to delivering for the American people is a cognitive test.
She's doing the AOC banging on the table thing.
That is what the medical doctor has said. That is what the specialist said. I just want to take a step back. I want to take a step back because I do take offense.
Oh, she takes offense
to what Ed alluded to.
Nobody gives a crap what you take offense to.
Come out here every day. There's a press briefing.
She's a hero,
and we do our best to give you the information that we have at the time.
She's the hero.
That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And we understand that the freedom of the press. We respect the freedom of the press. You heard me talk about this last week.
Yeah.
I appreciate the back and forth that we all have. It is, I try to respect you.
Well, I'm a hero.
You try to respect me.
And I'm a victim.
And we literally do everything that we can.
I'm a hero.
Does everything that we can to make sure we get the answers to you.
Pull up the hero. Pull up the hero
card. Sometimes we
card.
disagree.
Ooh, hero.
Sometimes we are not in agreement. But you know what? That's democracy. That is what is important.
That's actually not
to have
democracy.
That
that's not democracy at all, but nice
and
try.
So to say that I'm holding information,
look at the body language,
to anything else
turtling.
is not unfair. It's really unfair.
Oh, and Freudian slip.
I think people who are watching and have everything else is not unfair. It's
not
really,
unfair.
really unfair.
I'm sorry.
I think people who are watching and have been watching this briefing for this past week could say that we are doing our best in this briefing to provide the information that
Pull up the hero card.
And I will admit, I will be the first one to admit, sometimes I get it wrong. At least I admit that. At least I admit that. And sometimes I don't have the information.
Wagging her finger like Bill Clinton used to do.
Always admit that.
Oh,
but I do take offense.
She takes offense
to what was just happening at the beginning of this briefing.
Tilt the shoulder. Okay. Tilt the shoulder. Okay. Here you go. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm in total control. Loathsome. And it was Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. That's the classic narcissist abuse of the victim. Deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. I think that's it. And it's what they do on a daily level. And you notice, like, she's wagging her finger, which is, it's a big no-no in politics. You don't wag and point your finger at people because it is a sign of aggression and makes people feel defensive. That's why Bill Clinton went to the whole pointing your thumb with your finger, because this is a little less aggressive. Turtling, like, oh God, I can't even swallow what I'm dishing out here. And that shoulder, come on. Anyways, I as a professional, I loathe Karine Jean-Pierre. She is the worst press secretary that has ever existed. It's insulting, demeaning, and degrading to listen to her. And then she tries to paint herself as being the hero. Hey, answer the simple question. Who did that Parkinson's specialist visit in the White House? Oh, I'm not getting into that. I'll give you all of the relevant information that I decide to give you that's favorable to what narrative I want to promote, what lie I want to promote. He passed a physical in February, March, April, May, June, July. That's nearly half a year. That's a long time for a normal person. That's like 10% of the remaining life of an 81-year-old at best. Oh, he saw a doctor in February, and we didn't see any acts of questionable cognitive impairment between February and, what are we now, July? He saw a doctor in February. He ain't seeing another one until next year. I'm not telling you who that doctor was here to see in the White House because we respect privacy. And I know he's president of the United States running the country, or if you ask Joe Biden in his George Stephanopoulos interview, running the world. But he's entitled to privacy. We're not going to say who that Parkinson's specialist was seeing in the White House. It could have been anybody. Could have been Karine Jean-Pierre herself. Oh. With that said, good morning. Is it still morning? Almost not morning anymore. Good morning, everybody. I don't know if I'm going to harp on that anymore. It's damage control. Joe Biden is going to be on the phone all day, reassuring Democrats that he's fit to run. It's an amazing thing. Like half of his day is going to consist of convincing people he's not demented, and nobody understands why that's a big problem. I made a very, very funny meme. It's so funny that people might not get it. It's so subtle and it's so genius that I don't expect it to go viral because that's how good. I'm joking, by the way. But it does show my age just a little bit, and some of you may or may not get the reference. But I said breaking leaked audio of Biden on the phone with Democrats, reassuring them he is fit to run. This is actual footage, by the way, guys. This is Joe Biden.
What? Hello? Hello? Who is this? Hello? Answer me! Who is this?
Who remembers when phones used to sound like this?
Sake, who are you? Hello? Hello?
If you'd like to make a call,
Who's this?
try again.
Hello?
That was the operator telling you, please hang up and try your call again.
Please answer me!
And that was the noise.
Who is this? Please!
That was the noise the phone used to make if you left it off the hook. Back when they had those little squiggly cords, the elastic cords, they were plugged into the wall. They had a little circular dial pad, and you go. Anyhow, that clip obviously was.
Stop it! Why are you doing this? Why? Why? Just tell me your name.
It was from the Adam Sandler "They're All Gonna Laugh at You" CD or tape cassette that I had at the time, and I thought it was classic, but nobody's going to get it. And I had to make sure it was so clearly not real that Community Notes is not going to say Viva Fry purports to have breaking audio of Joe Biden on the phone, and it's a doctored audio recording. Just got the notification, says maple syrup 123. Yeah, well, it's because I'm using Rumble Studio, and I think it probably gives out the late. Not it. YouTube, because the stream doesn't get set up until it goes live, is late for the notification. But that's why we should be watching this on Rumble, Viva Fry, vivabarneslaw.locals.com, which I don't have opened in the backdrop. And hold on, before we get into reading some the chitty chats and the super chats and the Rumble rants and talking about what we're going to talk about today, we need to thank our sponsor of the day, because you may have noticed if you're watching on YouTube, it says this stream contains a paid promotion, which it does. And on the topic of being a mentally deficient, senile, sleepy-headed Joe Biden, are you such a person when you wake up in the morning until you have your first cup of coffee? Are you scared of walking upstairs without being worried and being worried that you're going to fall down or up? Do you struggle to muster the focus and the brain power for basic things like spending all day on the phone trying to convince Democrats you're not sufficiently demented to not run for president? You need to stop drinking woke liberal coffee and start your day by drinking Rumble's very own 1775 coffee. Never mind that it will be the best tasting coffee you've ever had in your life, as in seriously good. It's also ethically sourced from a family farm in the high altitude mountains of Bolivia. So instead of waking up and drinking your crappy, mold-infested, pesticide-loaded, woke-owned coffee, buy from a company that respects you as a consumer, that respects free speech, and help create the parallel economy that we desperately need. Try Rumble's very own 1775 coffee, support freedom of speech, and build that parallel economy. 1775.com/Viva or promo code Viva, and you'll get 10% off your first order. So make it a big one. They've got 3 different types: medium, dark, pea-berry. Pea-berry, from what I'm told, is a Kona-like coffee, but I take my coffee like I take my humor. Dark and powerful. You won't regret it for a moment. Level up your morning routine with a bag of 1775 coffee and sleep well at night, knowing that your hard-earned dollars are going towards supporting freedom-loving creators like me on your freedom-loving platform, Rumble. The link is in the description. Booyah. Now, hold on. I've got a bit of a tickle in my throat, and I hope it's not a summer cold, because it doesn't matter if it is. I'm going to do everything that I need to do anyhow. All right, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to maybe finish up with some Joe Biden stuff. I think we're done with that, but it's full meltdown mode. I'm sticking to my prediction, which I've made for a little while now. And unfortunately, I think Kamala Harris is probably going to be the logical replacement. I'm not so confident Hillary Clinton's going to make a run. We're talking about what's going on in Russia. and how past is prologue. If you don't learn from the past, you're bound to repeat it. And how once you operate on the basis, and not on the basis that, but once you operate knowing that they have lied to you about literally everything. I'm sorry, I'm doing the AOC clap now. Once you understand that, you don't have to take a position right away when breaking news is breaking, especially in the fog of war, but you should pause and say, I'm going to hold off coming to some sort of definitive formulation that might sink the world into World War III. And I'm going to be very, very skeptical of people who take a definitive position, knowing that we have been lied to in the past and they have lied to us in the past. And I want to put on blast what the hell is going on in Canada, in Quebec, and in Montreal in particular. Let's oh, and then we're going to do some Alec Baldwin update. Remind me about the Alec Baldwin update. Let me play this here. I want to. Oh, I got some. Hunley just sent me a body language analysis, and I don't know if it has to do with Karine Jean-Pierre, but I'll check that out afterwards. I want to really, really emphasize and put on blast the absolute disgusting insanity and reality that's going on in Canada. So people, and I put out a vlog yesterday, but the vlog, and I know it's wild actually. It's not a question of goodness or badness of the vlog. It's quite clear certain subjects get algorithmically suppressed on the YouTube, not on Rumble, because I can compare the viewership per vlog on Rumble and it's consistent. But you talk about a story involving self-harm, stories of self-harm, or stories of injectable narcotics. And it gets absolutely algorithmically suppressed on the YouTube. And there's an easy way to determine it, because you could see click-through rates and all the other standard statistics. Okay. But I'm putting this on blast because it's obscene is what it is. A lot of people are saying, Vivi, you got to go back to the Atwater Market when you're in Canada, because they've, for whatever the reason, they've installed an injection, a safe injection and a safe inhalation site next to the Atwater Market. It's like, okay, I'll go down and check it out. And this is the video of the market. I won't play the entire vlog, but this is the video of what the market looks like with the injection site right across the street.
With an orderly or unemployed who works there, make sure nobody's dying of overdoses.
Get to the point, Viva.
I'll get to that in a second.
Thank you.
So we passed by it. I'll show you the video. That's what it looks
now,
like.
Play it. So this is the Atwater Market. It's the building in the background.
The city made the decision to put a safe injection house right across the street from the Atwater Market. After I had gone,
okay, so that it doesn't look very bad because you can't really see much from the car window. All right. So I went and then had a discussion with someone who worked the safe injection site. He was, very, very nice, good-looking, well-built young man. And I say this not from not from any other reason than to say, like, you have to be relatively well-built if you're going to be working with drug addicts who are injecting themselves, and like, people are irrational and misbehave even when they're not under the deathly grasp of drugs. You throw in drugs, heroin, whatever the heck they're inhaling, the shit will pop off at some point, and there's not a question about it. It's just a question of when. And anybody who's ever had any experience, going to mental institutions, people who are on drugs or mentally ill are tremendously strong and tremendously unpredictable. So this guy is strong, looks like he could handle himself. But anybody who's seen the videos of the people, doing bath salts and eating other people's faces, I mean, the superhuman power when people are on drugs is a known thing. As I'm talking to him, he says something that I didn't know, that the rumblings and the rumorings and the backlash to this injection site had not to do with the Atwater Market tourist spot being across the street, but rather the school that was one block over and the playground that is immediately adjacent this safe injection site, halfway house, and place. It's been there now for, let me see, I'll get the article here. It's been there for, it started in April or May, so it hasn't been there for very long. Listen to this article out of Global News in Canada and Montreal. Oh, that's beautiful. See, this is beautiful. It's beautiful scenery. Officials seek to reassure. Let me make sure that we're looking at the same thing. Officials seek to reassure Let me maximize it. Officials seek to reassure neighbors of new Montreal supervised injection site. Let's hear what they have to say about this.
On her only window, screaming in the streets, and using drugs.
I'm concerned about my security. I'm concerned about everybody's security in the area.
The facility offers subsidized housing for the unhoused and a safe injection and inhalation site on the ground floor. It's right next to a school and a playground in the middle of a residential area. And people around here say, as they expected, the early days have been rough on the neighborhood. This man says someone dealing with mental illness came up to him in the street with their fists up, ready to fight.
When people are on their drugs, you can't really talk to them. There's nothing you can do.
You can't talk to them when they're not on the drugs. I mean, this is the nature. It causes both temporary insanity in the sense of drug-induced insanity and permanent or at least longer-lasting problems. And then addiction itself, even when they're not on drugs, addiction itself drives people to crime, violence, theft, everything. Residents of the St. Henry neighborhood who live near a recently opened supervised injection site say the new facility is bringing havoc to their area. People describe drug use in the streets, threatening behavior, and more. When I was there, talking with the orderly or whoever the employee, I see somebody right behind you just throw a needle into the grass. Like I saw it. It's a white syringe. Chuck it into the grass. There's a freaking playground right next door and a school 1 block away. I'm concerned. Okay, since the resource for people experiencing homelessness and drug addiction opened nearly 2 weeks ago, that was in April? Oh, way down. That was in April. So April. Avner says people have been urinating on her ground floor windows, screaming in the streets, and using drugs. Well, and using drugs. That's what it's there for. Amazing thing, the government criminalizes drug use and then not only legalizes but facilitates the use of the drugs that they've criminalized. The facility offers subsidized housing for the unhoused, supervised injection and inhalation on the ground floor. A man didn't want to give his name, says a man came up to him with his fists. When people are on drugs, you can't really negotiate with them. There's nothing you can do. On Friday, Social Services Minister Lionel Carmont, local MNA Guillaume Cliché-Rivard, and Borough Mayor Benoit Doré paid a visit to the site and sent a reassuring message. They called the current rough patch a, quote, transition period. Yeah, it's like, transitional inflation. It's only here to stay. As of next week, we expect things to improve. I was there yesterday. Concerned residents had rallied against the supervised injection site, with some hoping the facility would be moved before it opens. Police patrol are very present. Don't worry, people. It's going to get better. It's just a transitional period, and we're going to slap a lot of police on the street. It's amazing, eh? We cause a problem, and then we go to the government to have a sort of a militarized police-type solution to the problem we've created. So are intervention workers. Workers will increase their hours as they attempt to keep the area peaceful. Don't worry, guys, property values, forget the property value. The safety of the children right next door. These are the same people who say, won't someone think of the children? Saying, yeah, let's legalize and build an injection and inhalation site next to a playground. Officials say the key issue is the main entrance to the building on Atwater isn't ready yet, so they're accessing through the back on Green. Oh, that's the issue. That's the issue. As early as Monday, everyone's going to enter by the front door, so there won't be much access here by the back door, says Quebec Solidaire MNA Guillaume. Oh, they should all be fired. Avenada wonders why the facility opened before the main entrance was operational. Oh, my goodness. Carmont said the facility is very important for a very vulnerable sector of the population. Yeah, children? Oh, no. Fuck them. They're done. We're not thinking of the children anymore. Now we're thinking of the drug addicts and the homeless. So we're going to give them a place to do drugs, but it'll be safe. And we're not actually going to help them get off drugs. We're just going to give them clean needles and clean crack pipes so they can smoke crack and inject needles and then throw the needles on the ground. But don't worry, we're cleaning up the needles. This is an important project we're going to move forward with, he said. There's 50 deaths every month because of overdoses. It's the number one cause of death of young adults. In Canada, we take it very seriously. Yeah, I'm sure that has nothing to do. I'm sure that reality has nothing to do with the last 4 years of reality in Canada, but in Quebec in particular. So put it on blast. And Valérie Plante, there will be blood on her hands. It's a foregone. It's not a question of if. It's a question of when. And it's an utter, absolute destruction of what our society has been. And when there's a problem, then they're going to say, oh, well, we need more police. Oh, no, there's going to be a curfew. Can't go out of your house because of the drug site. Can't go to your house. And we'll put a bigger fence around the playground, a bigger fence around the park. All rigged to divide us and increase fear, says ACD. Look at that. Now, let me see if I go to the donations. Look, King of Biltongs in the house. Good morning or afternoon from Anton's Meat and Eat. Free shipping for your biltong using code VIVA, biltongusa.com and antonusa.com. Anton's, where everyone walks around with meat in their mouth. Happy Tuesday. Thank you very much, King of Biltong. I hope your problems with the town of Roanoke are going to be blowing over sooner than later, but I doubt it. Sid Loy says the safe injection site is crazy. I live in Montreal and had no idea. For sure. Oh, no, they're trying to keep it secret. Don't worry. The problem was only that they opened it before the front door was ready. That's it. Now that all the drug addicts and the home, they access through the front door, surely no one's going to be sitting in the back doing drugs. I mean, rules are rules. It's a flipping outrage is what it is. Okay, now what do we do here? Now let me see. I just want to make sure that all of the tipped chat and all of the I'm working through making sure that there are no other glitches in Rumble Studio, but we're going to see here. I'm in vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Doug_Leaf_fan, or more accurately read, Doug Leaf fan. $1 tip says, when Ukraine bombed Poland, shouldn't they have been attacked by NATO? We're going to get there, Doug Leaf fan. Treasonous politicians selling out Canada to foreign countries willingly. We need to be liberated, says Doug Leaf fan. I cannot get over how bad it is, because it's like the idea of opening a safe injection site, set aside the fact that it's near a school, tourist spot in a residential neighborhood. It's as stupid as the idea of saying that, we're going to treat drug addiction by opening safe injection sites is as dumb of an idea as saying we're going to fight crime by defunding the police. And they start with these idiotic policies that you think are a joke, and then they become reality. And then the problems that obviously are going to ensue. And then they say, well, we got to go back to the government that caused the problem to find the solution to the problem that resulted from the problem that they predictably caused. Like Ottawa has safe injection sites. It's a shithole of a city with rampant homelessness and drug abuse on the street. It's almost like facilitating addiction doesn't solve addiction, especially when you're facilitating the addiction without treating the addiction. That's what the guy told me yesterday. They don't even have any programs for the addicts. They just have the needles and clean crack pipes. Do we do the Ukraine story here, or do we do that as we head over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com or Rumble? Let me try one. Let me see one other thing. I'm going to try one other thing. No. See here. The Rumble Advertising Center. I'm trying this as well again to make sure that this is this will revolutionize the way content creators monetize their content on live streams, where you can have, where for anybody who doesn't know what the Rumble Advertiser Center looks like, when you use Rumble Studio to stream as a creator, there are companies that partake in real-time auctioning for ad space during the streams. And so you can see which campaigns are willing to advertise during a given stream. You can click on them. It gives you the budget. And then you can decide by reading through what you want to advertise, how much you'll get paid for it. And then they pay you within short order. And it's going to revolutionize the way content creators who don't have agents, who don't do negotiations directly with sponsors, are going to be able to monetize their streams. You can pick an opportune time of your stream when you want to pull the ad, and it's amazing. So here, let's just take, for example, we'll go with rumble.store. Seems like the good company to sponsor, to plug during a stream on Rumble's studio. Because also, but everybody, if you're not watching this on the Rumble app, go download the app, because you get immediate, instant, real-time notifications. But what better of a sponsor of a stream on Rumble Studio than Rumble itself? Rumble's exclusive apparel has finally arrived. They are now offering 20% off all purchases in the Rumble store with the discount code DROP20. If you want to support the brand that is fighting for free speech and fighting for your First Amendment, this is the best way to do it. I've obviously got some gear, but I grabbed it when I went to the Longboat Key studio. They have tees, sweaters, hats, and much, much more. Go to rumble.store and make sure to enter DROP20. DROP20 as the promo code and get 20% off your entire order. So do it. It's rumble.store. Go there. Let them know that this advertising works. Wear your Rumble gear with pride and drop 20 as the promo code at rumble.store for 20% off your entire order. Bam. And that's how it works. I don't know. I'm going to whet the appetite of everybody before we end this and go on over to Rumble and locals. The news of Russia bombing a hospital in Ukraine, and you got to pick your news, pick your sources, and know that every source has its own bias, has its own prejudice, and that's why you got to fish around and read a bunch, and then come to the best conclusion that you can possibly come to based on diverging information, differing information, misinformation, and the lies of the people that you know are lying to you. Now, before we do that, we're going to get into it, but let's end it on YouTube, end it on Twitter. Not because Twitter's a commie tube like YouTube, but we're going to go over and support Rumble and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. The link to locals, I'll give it all to you here, is here. See, I need to be able to chat in chat here, but I'll put the link to locals here. Locals, bam, typo in there, and the link to locals in YouTube right over here. And then we're going to talk a little bit of before we head over to Rumble. So the Alec Baldwin trial starts today, at least jury selection. And what the LawTube community is doing is it will be live streamed on multiple content creators platforms throughout the trial. And so it's an experiment. I don't know how it's going to work out, but a number of the creators have pooled together to co-stream the entire stream with the commentary of whomever is doing the stream at the same time, sort of like panel type things. And it's going to be on a number of LawTube YouTube channels throughout the duration of the stream. The idea being it's going to reach a bigger market. And for those who want to stream it but can't or don't want to sit on their butts all day, every day for however long this trial lasts, it'll be live streaming and creators can bump in and out and watch and contribute as they so choose. But everybody can watch this trial from beginning to end if they so choose. So I'm going to be doing it on my channel. Nate's doing it. It'll be co-streamed across, I don't know who, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but a bunch of LawTube YouTube channels and Rumble channels and etc. So we'll see how it works. It's going to be interesting. I will be following this trial. Today is jury selection, which is not being live broadcast, but we'll see if there's any updates on that as we get into it. But that's it. So stay tuned for that. As of tomorrow, it's going to be live, and I'll still be doing my live streams and other stuff as warranted. All right, now we're going to end on YouTube and Twitter and go over to Rumbles and Locals and talk about Ukraine and how people do not seem to learn from the past. 3, 2, 1.